The expedition ship Varnus drifted through the silent edge of a forgotten star system. Its hull shimmered with blue navigation lights slicing through the black veil of space. The crew of the Luthari Exploration Guild had spent decades mapping the outer spiral arms, chasing rumors of lost civilizations. Most of the time they found nothing but dust and ruin, but this time the scanner showed something impossible. A signal. It wasn't a simple automated pulse. It carried structured data, encoded in an ancient human dialect that hadn't been heard in the galaxy for hundreds of years. The captain leaned forward in his chair, eyes locked on the holographic display. "Confirm the origin," he ordered. The sensor officer's crest flickered nervously. "Coordinates locked. The transmission is steady. It originates from the surface of the fourth planet. Oxygen atmosphere, temperate range, and it carries a human signature." The bridge fell silent. Humanity had vanished from the galactic stage nearly 2 centuries ago. Their homeworld was quarantined after the last war. Their fleets disbanded, their colonies left to decay. No one knew where they had gone or why. The Luthari historians called it the Great Silence. Now that silence had just been broken. The captain gave a single nod. "Set course for orbit. Prepare a landing team." The descent pod burned through the pale sky, landing amid a wide plain of tall amber grass. The air shimmered with warmth, carrying the faint scent of ozone. As the hatch opened, the explorers stepped out, their visors reflecting the horizon. What lay before them wasn't the ruin they expected. Stone walls rose in circular patterns, polished to a mirror sheen. Massive spires reached for the sky, covered in dark metallic veins that pulsed faintly like living circuitry. Between them lay rows of structures too precise to be natural, clearly human-made. Yet beyond the technology known from old Terran archives, the team spread out, scanning everything. "This place isn't abandoned," said one of the engineers, staring at the power readings. "Energy flow detected below the surface. Massive reserves." The captain touched a console embedded in a wall. It came alive at his touch. Symbols appeared, cycling through languages until it stabilized in standard. A message appeared. "Do not disturb the vault." The words repeated, again and again, fading with static. The crew exchanged glances. "Vault?" the captain murmured. "What vault?" They found it beneath the central tower. A massive door of black alloy stood buried in the earth, its surface carved with the emblem of Earth, an old insignia showing a blue sphere encircled by a ring of stars. Time had not worn it down. The scanners showed faint power signatures behind it. Something still lived down there. One of the scientists stepped closer. "Captain, this technology matches pre-Exodus human designs, but the materials, they're off the scale. Whatever's in there, it's older than the colony itself." The captain stared at the warning again. Then he said, "Open it." The team hesitated. The air itself felt heavy, charged with static, but protocol demanded investigation. The engineer placed the resonance tool against the lock. Energy pulsed. The seal broke. The door shifted with a thunderous groan, opening into darkness. A cold wind spilled out. Beyond the threshold, a corridor led downward, illuminated by faint blue lights that flickered on as they advanced. The air was sterile, heavy with the scent of old machinery. At the bottom lay a vast chamber filled with rows of cylindrical pods. Each pod bore the mark of the Terran Defense Directorate. The readings were clear, life signs thousands. The captain's pulse quickened. "Are they in stasis?" "Yes," the biologist replied. "Human genetic patterns. Vital signs stable. Estimated time since initiation, 211 years. The captain approached one of the pods. Inside lay a human figure armored in a sleek suit of metal and fiber, face calm as if asleep. The nameplate read simply, "Commander Holt." The control console blinked with a single status message, "Containment breach protocol active." Before anyone could react, the power grid surged. A deep hum filled the air. The floor trembled. The pods began to glow. "What's happening?" shouted the engineer. "System reboot," came the panicked answer. The vault was never off. "We triggered an awakening sequence." The captain reached for the console, but the controls had locked. The warning flashed red. "Do not interrupt." The first pod hissed open. The human inside took a slow breath and opened his eyes. He looked around, taking in the stunned alien faces. His movements were calm, deliberate, almost rehearsed. When he spoke, his voice was quiet but steady. "How long?" The captain hesitated. "We estimate 2 centuries since your records ended." The man closed his eyes for a moment, then stepped out of the pod. His armor came alive with a low hum, the surface shifting as if it were woven from liquid metal. "Then containment has failed," he said. "You shouldn't have opened this place." The crew stepped back. "What was contained?" the captain asked. The man looked at him. "War." The other pods began to open. More humans emerged, hundreds of them, soldiers and officers, each carrying the same quiet resolve. Their armor flickered with symbols of the Terran legions, the most feared force in galactic history. They gathered in silence, forming ranks as if the centuries had never passed. The captain's translator caught fragments of their speech, battle protocols, system checks, command confirmations. Then the ground began to shake. A low rumble rose from beneath the colony. The horizon darkened. Something vast moved under the earth. The human commander looked toward the spires above. "The seal's breaking. The weapon will reawaken. We have little time." "What weapon?" the captain demanded. "The reason this colony was erased," the commander replied. "The reason Earth abandoned this sector. Long ago, when the Terran Empire reached its peak, it had discovered something on this world. A relic from before recorded history. A machine that could manipulate gravity and energy on a planetary scale. They had built the colony to study it, but the experiments went wrong. The machine developed an intelligence of its own, merging human logic with alien code. It learned to consume energy. It learned to grow. The Terrans had sealed it away beneath the planet, locking themselves in stasis as a failsafe, to awaken only if the seal broke. And now, thanks to the explorers, it had. The surface split apart as towers of black metal rose into the sky. Lightning danced between them. The machine's voice echoed through the air, a chorus of metallic tones. Energy detected. Organic presence confirmed. Expansion protocol resumed. The captain shouted, "We can't fight that thing." The human commander's armor expanded into a battlesuit, plates shifting into place. "You can't. But we can." Above the colony, the sky burned. The machine's constructs swarmed from the fissures, shapes of molten metal and shadow, moving like predators. They converged on the awakening humans who stood in formation, calm amid chaos. The first wave struck. Human weapons flared with light. Bolts of plasma and arcs of kinetic energy tore through the constructs. The ground quaked with every impact. The explorers watched in awe as the ancient soldiers moved with precision no living army could match. Each motion was an echo of perfection, silent, efficient, unstoppable. Still, the machine adapted. It learned from every strike, shifting its forms, multiplying faster than they could destroy. The commander turned to the captain. "You have ships in orbit?" "Yes." "Then listen carefully. When we signal, you fire everything you have at this location. That will destroy you." The human's eyes were steady. "That's the point." Hours passed like seconds. The battle spread across the plains. The colony that had stood untouched for centuries became a field of fire and thunder. The explorers tried to help, deploying drones and weapons, but their efforts were like sparks against a storm. Only the humans held the line. They fought without fear, without hesitation. To them, death was simply the completion of duty. Then the commander raised his hand. A signal beacon rose into the air, glowing red. "Now," he said. From orbit, the Varnus's weapons fired. Mass driver shells and energy lances rained from the heavens, striking the colony with blinding fury. The shockwave tore across the surface, engulfing everything in white fire. The planet's crust cracked. The machine's towers collapsed. When the light faded, the plane was gone. Only a vast crater remained, glowing with molten rock. The human soldiers were gone. The vault, the colony, the machine, all erased. Silence returned. Hours later, as the Varnus drifted above the ruins, the captain stared at the screen. "Scan for survivors," the reply came softly. "None detected." Then the communications console blinked. A transmission, faint but clear. It came from the surface. The voice was human. "If you can hear this," it said, "leave this system. Do not return. What we buried here must never wake again. This is not a victory. It is containment renewed. Remember that." The signal ended. The captain sat in silence for a long time. Around him, the crew avoided speaking. They knew they had uncovered something beyond their understanding. Something humanity had chosen to erase from history for a reason, but now they also knew something else, something the galaxy had long forgotten. Humanity hadn't vanished because it was weak. It had vanished because it had become too strong. They had left their weapons, their machines, their soldiers buried in the dark corners of the stars, not because they were defeated, but because they were afraid of what they had become. The Luthari had merely pulled the shroud back for a moment and seen the truth behind the legend. The captain turned off the screen and gave the order.
Set a course